Everyone knows how crazy, strenuous, and mentally draining the Nigerian law school can be. So if you're currently in the law school, you're reading and preparing to take the bar finals, or you know someone who is currently in law school that is preparing to take the bar finals as well, then you are in the right place, because today I'm going to be sharing 7 tips that would help you in reading and preparing for the Nigerian law school bar finals so that you can ace it once and for all. Let's get into it. Hi guys, my name is Rachel. You're welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a thing. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys 7 tips that could help you as a Nigerian law school student to ace your bar finals once and for all. So I'm not going to particularly be telling you what to read or what not to read, but I'm going to give you tips that could help you in terms of your reading pattern and what you need to know before the exam date, even on the exam date or the week of your exam. Before I start, I'm going to share my story with you guys so that you guys get to know me better. I had written a blog post about this and I noticed a recent spike in the number of views on the post, and I feel that it's very important for law school students to be able to know certain things while preparing their minds to write the bar finals and during the week of the exams. So I'm going to read out some portions of the blog post so that you guys can know. Nothing could have prepared me for the mental trauma that was going to be the Nigerian law school. Absolutely nothing. Almost half a decade later, and I still remember it as clear as anything in my mind. I had successfully graduated from the university with a first class in law and was excited about the learning experience the law school would offer. I love learning new things in life generally, and I figured this experience would be no different. I had watched Hollywood law movies and series, so passing the bar seemed like something exciting that would happen as long as you put in the hours and read well. However, I would soon come to find out that no be everybody wey sabi book dey pass. At the time I wrote the NLS bar finals, a candidate's overall results category was determined by his or her worst grade. There is the first class, second class upper, second class lower, pass, conditional pass, and fail categories. If you got a first class, it meant that you scored A's in all the courses written during the finals. A second class upper meant that your lowest grade was a B, so you could have all A's and 1 B, and you would have the same result category as someone who had all B's, and so on and so forth. As the big 5, the number of courses we take at the Nigerian law school, approached, I remember thinking I was going to lose my mind. I was barely getting enough sleep. I went through the worst forms of anxiety and was still trying to memorize almost all the sections of CAMA. That's the Companies and Allied Matters Act, if you guys don't know, for the non-lawyers. And there are more than 600 sections of just that one law. And we have like over how many laws that we try to put into our brain. At the same time, I would stay up trying to read, fall asleep from exhaustion, and then wake up and cry because why should I be falling asleep when I still had tons to read? I would stay up all night reading and falling asleep and reading some more and falling asleep some more. When my eyes got too heavy, I would stand at my balcony at 2 a.m. with a torchlight to my books just so I did not fall asleep. Oh, I fell asleep standing a couple of times. I would drink all the cans of Red Bull and cups of coffee I could find and still fall asleep. Then I would wake up and cry because precious time had gone while I slept like a donkey. Just reading this, honestly, it brings back so many memories. No matter how far back someone has written the bar finals, the one thing that remains the same is the nerves, the pressure, the amount of things that you have to read. So I had graduated from the university with a first class. I went to a private university, Nigerian University, and on getting to law school, I understood that a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's a private university, and legit, some people legit said this, oh, we'll see what she gets in law school. And it was just a lot. Even when I had went back to school for clearance, some of my lecturers were like, we're counting on you so that, you will not go and disgrace the school. They will not think that our first class is nothing. You guys can read more about my story. I'm going to leave the link to the blog post in the description box. Needless to say, I left the law school with a second class upper, and oh yeah, the day that the result came out, I'll never forget. I had put in my details on the tab that I was trying to check the results, and then my sister was like, okay, you put in details, press enter. I was like, no. She said, press it. I'm like, no, press it. I'm like, no, what about if I fail? And this was at 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. in the morning, because they typically release the results at like in the middle of the night, and as they had postponed like 3 times, so I was just tired of waiting. I was exhausted. There was just so much going on in my mind. Anyway, I eventually wrote it and I passed the first time. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of the tips that worked for me and some things that I did that were very almost detrimental to me during the exam period. Number 1 is choose a reading pattern or a system that works for you. So from the beginning, even now that you're still in law school, you're about to enter, or you're close to the exam period, whenever you're watching this video, choose a reading pattern that works for you. You may be tempted to look around and see what other people are doing and sort of go along with that, but please, please, please choose a reading pattern that works for you. If you know that reading during the day is what works for you, or reading during nighttime, when you're reading during the day, your friends are gisting around, you find somewhere else to go and read, because you know that you'll be sleeping during the nighttime when those same people who are gisting are reading. Also, try as much as possible to attach yourself with people that you can benefit from, not necessarily people who are only drawing from you, asking you questions, oh, explain this to me. Try and look for other people who will challenge you in terms of reading. When they ask you a question, you're like, huh, was I in class when that happened? Try to attach yourself with those kind of people. But in doing that, my number 2 tip is do not be intimidated by others and their seeming progress, because what you'll find is that in class there's some people who want to argue with the lecturers, there's some people who want to prove that they know book very well. Some people would have even started mentoring and tutoring people, like even before you've even gone halfway through law school. People have already finished the whole curriculum. You're on week 8, they're on week 20. Don't look at that. Just focus on your own journey, focus on your own path. Take your time, do what you have to do. If you're on week 4, be on week 4. If you're on week 8, be on week 8. When time comes towards the exam, you can do some revision, you can do some review, have some private time when you read to yourself before you go and do some group reading, just so that you're not lost in what group people are saying. And also be careful of, if you're going to get somebody to mentor you or do some side tutorials, just make sure that they're teaching you what has been taught in class. Don't go along with, no, I want to show my lecturer that I know better than, no. Whatever has been taught in class, whatever authorities, whatever sections, whatever things that you've learned in class, stick to those ones. Don't try and do your own thing. Don't be intimidated by anyone or anyone's progress, because the reality of it is that it's not everybody who stands up in class to answer questions or finishes reading before you that will actually pass this exam. So don't be thinking about it like, oh, look at this person, look at where I am, I'm a wretch, I'm a failure, then you check out. No. Number 3 is stay away from toxic and negative people. Yeah, so you're going to come across people who may be like, oh, beg God, this thing just na cruise. We just they manage, they go. Now we can go where we won't get. As in this thing just too hard. Don't stay around people who are constantly saying it's too hard without any solution or without any whatever it is like that would boost up your morale. It's going to get really crazy at some point, and you need all the positivity, all the boost, all the motivation that you can get. So don't stay around people who are just going to keep on bringing you down, telling you how hard it is, how crazy it is, how we've not even read anything, now God, oh, now this one, oh, we just they look like. Stay around realistic people who are pumped, who have a goal, who want to read and pass this exam once and for all, and you will be able to rub off of their energy. So it really, really plays a huge role in how you see what you're reading. If you're constantly around people who are telling you it's too hard, it cannot be done, say nobody don't pass this or that, whatever, hey, it's over, man, this one, blah, 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 then your mind is going to subconsciously take that in, and it's going to affect how you read, to the point where you're like, oh, I can't possibly put in 600 sections of karma in my head. Stay away from toxic and negative people and surround yourself with positive people who also want to pass, and not just pass, but who want to do exceptionally well. Number 4 is get enough sleep and rest. So this may be harder to do as the exam draws closer, because obviously you're trying to use every time that you're awake to read. Look, at one particular point, my roommate and I stopped even going to buy food. Nobody wanted to go and buy food from the Mami markets, because it was like that time that you're going to spend in line trying to buy food. you can be using it reading. So it's either we take our books and then that place is too noisy or something happens. So we literally stopped eating at some point in time and we're just eating snacks that we can buy in 5 minutes, because that was how much time was precious to us, and there was so much to read and then there was so little time. So what you want to do is get enough sleep and rest, even the week of your exam. Even if it is 3 to 4 hours, I'm going to be very realistic. You might not want to, as soon as you're done with an exam, you might want to get on to the next one reading and you'll be up the whole night. But try to get, even if it's 2 to 3 hours of sleep for that week. I'm not going to tell you 7 or 8 hours, because most times people are up reading all night. So even if it's 3 to 4 hours of sleep, try to get it, just so that your body doesn't shut down by the time you're getting into the 3rd or 4th day of the exam and then you fall asleep during the exam itself. And that has happened before. So the next one I'm going to talk about is during the week of exams. The next tip is remain calm. So this might be literally the hardest thing to do, especially when an exam is right in front of you. Somebody asks you, hey, please remind me of that section, and you're like, oh my goodness, I've forgotten. Oh, I forgot I'm going to fail. Yes, there's so many things that can come up before you write the exam, while you're walking into the exam hall, as you sit down, you're getting your papers. There's so many things that can come into your mind that will stop you from remaining calm. Even the weeks ahead, you're discussing with somebody, they mention something and you're wondering, sorry, what, as in, was I in class? And your friend is like, yes, now that day you were in class, you even took notes. And you're like, oh, I've never heard of this before. Then you start panicking and go to one corner and cry. I did that a lot. There were so many things that in my mind, I'm like, huh? Was I in class then? But the most important thing is to remain calm. When you forget something and you have a jotter, you can quickly make reference to that jotter. If you don't have it with you, take it down on your phone or whatever. Oh, I need to go back and remind myself of what section this is or what principle of law this is. If you finish reading everything and you pick up past questions and you don't know how to start, or the first question is very, very destabilizing to you because you're like, oh dear God, how can I not even be able to answer one question? Just be calm. Go back, refresh your mind again, and then come back to it. If it's past questions that you're doing, if it's discussions with people that you're doing, try as much as possible not to get too nervous or too anxious. When you get into the exam, try to calm yourself down. As you're walking in, preferably, don't even converse with anybody so that you're not destabilized. Anybody that wants to say, hey, please, I beg, just remind me that quickly, don't answer. Just be on your own. Enter into the exam hall. Be calm. When they give you the papers and you see things, there are things that might have skipped your head once you look at the question papers. But if you're calm, everything will come back to you as long as you've read it or as long as you've been in class when it has been said. Which leads to my next tip. Do not spend too much time reading the questions while you are writing the exam. So this was one major mistake that I made. I wrote property law first, and upon the advice of someone, I then went and was reading the questions. Even when I had read the questions, I read questions for like 1 hour. For me, oh, I'm reading questions. You have 3 hours to write, and every single moment counts. I read questions so much that by the time I was just done with the first question, they said 1 hour left. Look, I was a mess. I was crying. I was writing. I couldn't even see behind the tears. I was just, the pen was slipping through my fingers. I was all over the place. I'm like, yes, this is how I'm going to fail. This is it. It's over. And I had a moment where I just had to calm down, and I had to say, look, you cannot write and cry at the same time. You have to pick one. And I picked writing, and I wrote for my life. When you get the paper, skim through the questions, see which ones that you can answer, which ones come to you easily. When it's time to answer them again, you will still read through to understand. So don't spend up to an hour, at most 20 to 25 minutes skimming through to know which ones you're going to select. Please don't make that mistake that I made, because at the beginning it always looks like you have a whole lot of time. So everybody's handwriting is cute. You're using the red and the blue biro, you're exchanging things, you're using highlighter, making things all pretty. When they tell you 30 minutes left and you know you've only answered 2 questions, that's when nobody will be able to see your handwriting again. So please, from the beginning, make sure that every single minute counts. Every single minute matters. You may forget something and you're trying to remember. No problem. Don't panic. If it's taking time to come to you, go to one that you can readily answer. Also, don't box yourself in terms of, oh, I'm not going to read this topic because what happens in past questions is that these two usually come out, and I can always pick this one. Do not box yourself in. If it is calculations, please learn how to calculate. You don't like math, please learn. Look, I did not like math, I did not like decimals, I did not know how to calculate without a calculator. I went on YouTube, I was learning how to do multiplication with decimals. Like it got that bad. I had to, because I didn't want to box myself into a situation where at the end of the day I can only answer one question. So if I don't have an option, then I'm boxed into that one question. So please don't do that. My next tip is, after your exam, just move on. Like, it's the hardest thing on the planet, but as soon as you're walking out of that exam hall, do not discuss any answers with anybody. People may come to you, I beg, what do you get for that number 2? How far this one? Do not discuss anything. If you have earpieces, you have AirPods, you have music, as soon as you locate your bag or you locate anything, if you have to walk to your car to drive, whatever, do not talk to anybody. Just get into your car, get to your hostel, and go and start reading for the next paper. It might be hard because you want to calculate, oh, how many marks did I get here, how many marks. Look, you can, no matter how much you calculate, you can never know how it's going to go. You don't know what little thing you may do that will give you half a mark, and you might rule yourself out. Don't dwell and spend valuable time dwelling on what you've already done. You cannot change anything. You cannot go back. Like, it's done, it's done. Move on to the next one. A lot of people spend time dwelling, trying to calculate. Before they know it, 4 hours of that day or 5 hours has passed, and then by the time they're ready to read for the next paper, they're already so demoralized by the things that they didn't do or the things that they should have done, and it sort of goes into a domino effect. So even if your first paper was not good, the second one is not good, the third one is not good, the fourth one is not good, and so the fifth one is not good. But if you're able to just move on, you never know. Literally, like, one thing I've learned about law school is that you don't even know. A paper that you might feel so strongly about may not even be the paper that you pass the most. If a paper was not good for you, you can always bounce back with your other papers. Like, don't dwell so much on it. Remember to pay close attention to your time. Try as much as possible to find like a clock or something that you can always record the time that you're using. What I did was, if I had 4 questions that I had to answer and maybe they gave us 3 hours, I changed 3 hours to minutes. That's 180 minutes, and I divided it by 4. So I knew that for each question I have 180 minutes divided by 4. That's the amount of minutes I have. Once I'm passing that limit that I've set for myself, I move to the next question, whether or not I've finished. Look, it's better for you to answer partially 80% of 4 questions than for you to answer one question very good that you think you're really confident about, and at the end of the day you might not even get so many marks on that, and then you neglect the others. And now to my ultimate tip for you to read and prepare and ace the bar finals is believe in yourself. Look, the fact that you're already at the Nigerian law school tells a lot that you're smart and you're capable of reading. It may seem like it's too much. I surprised myself because when I saw all the sections, all the laws, I was like, how on earth can one person's brain fit all of that in one period? Even if it's to memorize, even if it's to cram just for that week, and then you know that you're done, you will surprise yourself and you can do it. Believe in yourself and believe in the abilities that you have. Do not compare yourself to other people and their seeming progress or whatever it is that they're doing. Everybody has their own destiny, everybody has their own path, and so please believe in yourself. You can do it. I believe in you, and you should believe in you too. Forget about the pressure. It's hard because I know that maybe your community is counting on you, your village is counting on you, your parents, in fact, they've already started calling you barrister, meanwhile you're just in law school. I understand how the pressure can be, but please try as much as possible not to pay attention to too much pressure that may be coming from external sources. So if you're about to write the bar, or you're a law undergraduate, or somebody who is about to write the bar finals, or who is in law school, and this has been helpful for you, kindly let me know in the comments. If there's any other way that I can help as well, I'm available. You can reach out to me via email and I can respond to your emails or inquiries about anything. You can always come back to this video when it's time to write the exams, or you can share with people who you know are going to enter into law school anytime soon, so that they can also benefit from this as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.